Yo, what's going on? Lion D Simba in the cut. And today I wanted to make a video about my big three in anime. I couldn't go to the gym this morning. They were shut down. They're not opening up till 11. It's currently 5 a.m. Try to get an early workout. But anyways, my big three. Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece. Starting off with Naruto. Naruto was my first love, man. It really opened my eyes to anime. It got me into that realm. And I remember my homie Alvin getting me into Naruto. He offered, like, we were in business finance class. Mind you, this is senior year. So we're on the cusp of graduating, becoming men, or adults, I should say. And he's like, you watch Naruto? And I'm like, nah, like, I seen it on Toonami, but I ain't watching it right now. Mind you, I don't remember what I was watching at that time. Like, I remember high school days. That was like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. Like, I'm watching cartoons, so I'm still watching childish stuff, but I think anime was like a step ahead of that because it was more mature. Excuse me. So I'm like, nah, I ain't watched it since Toonami. He's like, bro, you gotta watch it. It's going crazy right now. Mind you, Naruto Shippuden was still actively making episodes. So he dropped the Hulu account, and I thank him to this day because if he doesn't give me that, I probably don't get into the other series that I get into. So I remember going home, logging into his Hulu account, and I don't remember where I started or what episode, but it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to start this from the beginning to the end. So he gave me the Hulu account. He told me to get into Shippuden, but I went to Naruto first just to refresh my memory. Because mind you, when I was younger and I used to like go to my grandma's house in Hidden Valley, I remember she took me to a Walmart and I had ended up getting a manga like before I even really knew what a manga was. So I had the chapter where Naruto was fighting Gaara. So I knew what Naruto was. I go back and I watch it from start to finish, and then I get into Shippuden, and that's when I really fell in love with the series because, a numerous amount of reasons, like as far as in impact, how much the characters impacted me emotionally, what they were going through, the sacrifices certain ninjas were making. It was nothing I have seen before, especially in cartoons or just animation in general. So let me start by saying, like, Itachi sacrifice for the Leaf Village, that spoke volumes to me because I'm the type of guy that if I can, I'll make sacrifices for my friends or my families. And sometimes to the point where, it affects me and it hurts me. And like Itachi, nobody was asking him what he was going through. Like, he was real about it. He kept that to the neck. Didn't let nobody know besides the elders in the Leaf Village. Those are the only ones that really knew the burden he was bearing. And then Naruto's resiliency to become the Hokage, like that to me, like, even though I gravitated towards the Uchiha, I still had a place in my heart for Naruto. No glaze. I loved how much he was dedicated to trying to become what he wanted to become. And not only did he find ways around in the fights to beat his opponents, but he practiced super hard. Like, I remember him sitting there with Kakashi practicing the wind style Shuriken. No. My bad. Not wind style Shuriken. The wind release Rasengan. He sat there and he honed that. He sat and focused his chakra under a waterfall, and it just showed me, like, when you put in the work, you'll get results. And eventually he made it. He became the Hokage, but that's way out there. So we skipping ahead. Man, something else is like foreshadowing. The foreshadowing is crazy. Like, you you knew about certain characters before they even entered the story. First, two examples, Minato and Madara. Minato, with everybody talking about the fourth Hokage before we even get an appearance from him. Second, Madara, his eyes being implanted in Nagato, and I think there was a mention of, a ninja strong enough to be on par with the god of shinobis, Hashirama Senju. So there were hints to Madara. It's not like huge foreshadowing like the series I'm going to get into in a second, but that at the time that was big to me. And then just character depth. I think Naruto has some of the best storytelling and fighting scenes, and I like how the ninjas were strategic. They weren't just like Dragon Ball characters fighting blow for blow. No, I remember one episode that stood out to me where Itachi told Naruto, like, hey man, you gotta stay calm in every situation. You can't, when you're not calm, you can't break down a person's jutsu. And that's how sometimes people can finesse you, because you're not calm in a certain situation. So even though I have my outbursts and I'm not perfect, I always try to remember that in certain situations, you got to stay calm in order to deduce or to calculate your next move in order to counter whoever is going against you or whatever the case may be. So like if I'm playing basketball and a guy hits a fadeaway jumper on me, makes it, and now he's talking crap, I can't let him talking mess get into my mental. I have to stay focused and calm in order to know how I'm gonna come back. So let's move forward. And I want to say before we move forward, Naruto was my first love. Like, that love when you go to high school and you see him for the first time and it hits, and then y'all go however long through high school. That type of first love. Never had it, but I definitely know from like movies and whoever had a girlfriend in high school what that first love felt like, and that was me with Naruto. It was my first love when it comes to this anime stuff. Anyways, let's move forward. Dragon Ball Z. Let me fix my camera. Now, Dragon Ball Z, I like to say, is like my side piece. Sneaky Link. You get the drift, right? I say that because it's like a bad woman that she ain't really, it's like a bad woman with a mid personality, and you like hitting that on the side, but you would never wife it up because she don't hit. It don't hit you the same like how wifey would. So the reason I love Dragon Ball Z is, like, for one, Goku is an icon. Like, huge. Like, Goku is so big, pause, that when I think of an ideal role model and a person that I want to model myself after, it would be Goku. I'm not gonna say I don't want to hold him in a god statue, even though he becomes a god in the series. I wouldn't hold him to that statue because I try to remember the Bible, God is a jealous God. But at the same time, as far as in like somebody's personality and what I try to model my life after, it would be Goku, because he is a goof. But he doesn't mean to be stupid. It just was in his cars. It was, he hit his head as a baby, and he's just a naturally good person. And I don't know if that was him from knocking his noggin on that rock, or if it was just meant to be, of course, plot. I just love how he carries himself, and he always wants to get stronger. That's something I could get behind, because I don't ever just want to stay weak. And I always want to challenge the best opponent, whether it be basketball, chess, video game, whatever, I want to be the best, and I want to try to go against the best to test my limits. And that's why Goku is so impactful for me, because that's all he did in the series. Like, it wasn't like Naruto where he had a goal in mind. No, he just knew that he wanted to fade the strongest mofo out there. And if you wonder why I'm saying mofo stuff, I'm not trying to cuss. I want this to be an organic video. I want to be able to post this and not have any reason for YouTube to copyright or strike the video, block it, whatever the case may be. I try to do a One Piece episode reaction. That didn't go too smooth, so I'm gonna change it up. And I just decided to make this video because I couldn't go to the gym. So something else that Dragon Ball has is beautiful choreography. The best fighting scenes, and that's why I mean, like, why Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT is my side piece, because when I want to see a good fight, I'm going to go watch Dragon Ball. It's just perfectly directed, and the fighting moves were picked out. Not saying that, you know, Naruto doesn't have good fighting scenes, because like I said, I think Naruto has the best fighting scenes and the best storytelling, but Dragon Ball Z really focuses in on their fighting. You don't have to be like, you know what, that fight was mid. No, every fight is gonna be peak. Even if it's Yamcha versus a Cyberman, like, I never thought I would want to see Yamcha versus a Cyberman. That's how good Dragon Ball is. So anyways, another thing that I like about Dragon Ball is the transformations. Who doesn't want to power up? Who doesn't want to level up in life? From Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2, all the way to Super Saiyan 3 and beyond, to Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, which is the blue one. And don't think that I'm a rookie when it comes to this anime stuff. This is me recording myself, recording a video, so I'm trying to get accustomed to recording myself on the camera and talking to you guys. Anyways, something else Dragon Ball Z has is some of the best villains. Evil, it's just scum, just people you cannot get down with, but they just so badass you can't help but rock with them. Me personally, I'm not a big villain guy in any series. I normally go for the protagonist. I like the protagonist just because they stand for, you know, whether it's freedom, getting better. The bad guys, they stand for, you know, they're more selfish. I'm not a selfish person. I can be selfish, don't get it wrong, but at heart I'm not a selfish person. So I think that, like, somebody, for example, in Dragon Ball is Frieza. Completely selfish. The man was just naturally born gifted, that he never had to train in his day in his life, and his dad just gave him an empire and gave him a planet to rule over. Like, you know what that does to a person's self-esteem when you're given an empire from as I want to say he was a child in the Dragon Ball Super movie with Broly. That probably does something to your psyche where you have a god complex. So, and I'm happy, like, one of my favorite villains, I would say he's like an anti-villain. He's Beerus. Beerus God of Destruction, like, humbled Frieza. And just, a lot of them have complex stories. Like, a lot of people don't like when certain characters come back, like Frieza, Vegeta. Of course, people like Vegeta, but at first, you know, they might have been upset because they brought him back. Frieza, who came back recently in the Dragon Ball superhero movie, Cell, with Cell Max, and then I don't think Boo came back. Mainly Frieza. Frieza constantly came back because he came back in the Resurrection F, and then he came back in the Power Tournament of Power, excuse me. And so I would say Vegeta, out of all of them, had the most compelling story, because he went from a super evil person into, you know, somebody that is rethinking his whole life and how he was brought up and how he lives to this day. And, you know, something that really helped him was having a family and him having something to live for. Before, he really didn't have nothing to live for, because not only did Frieza destroy his planet, he was ruling over it, so he couldn't really feel like a king if there's somebody up above living in the ship ready to just send down a beam to you. Like, how can you really feel like a king? But, you know, once he met Goku, Goku kicked some sense into him, and he really, you know, he really had to hold that L, because at first, like, the only person he was losing to was Frieza. Anyways, I'm getting too long. But yeah, the story's alright. Almost like a bad chick with mid personality. What really grabs my attention with Dragon Ball is the powers and the out of this world, quite literally out of this world fighting. Now, I don't have any notes for this. Been going on for about 16 minutes. I'm gonna chop it up, cut some things out. One Piece. One Piece is my wife. Somebody I lay up with. Somebody I spend my time with. Somebody I'm trying to build with. Quite literally, I'm trying to make a YouTube channel based around One Piece. That's how much I love One Piece. And I want to tell this story where I was doing electrical for my sister's dad, and I was working, I want to say, not at the time in Jacksonville, but it was somewhere up east. And I was with my partner named Justin. And he's from Atlanta. He was telling me about One Piece, and we had to be on this scissor lift where we're installing lights, and sometimes we would have to be on it together. And he's just telling me about One Piece as we're working, and I'm just like, and we just go into a debate about what's better, Naruto or One Piece. And I'm just telling him, like, man, nothing is better than Naruto. And mind you, I had watched Dragon Ball Super at this point, so I'm already, and that's why I mean, like, Dragon Ball Super is a side piece, something you just want to hit on the side, something you watch on the side. And Naruto was my first love, so of course I was defending Naruto. Like, I'm not finna go against the one that I fell in love with in high school. And I think it got to a point where we would just go back and forth, and he would tell me, like, no, One Piece story is way better. You just don't know, bro. You missing out. Like, he would try to explain it, and I just wasn't hearing it, because I was trying to talk to him about Naruto, and he wasn't hearing it. So it was just something that I had to get into to understand where he was coming from. And so some time has passed, and I ended up going back home to California. And I just put it on. And I always try to start from episode 1, so that way I can really know the story and I can get it immersed, compared to just jumping in. Because he even told me, like, I think he said jump in around Dressrosa. And I was like, nah, man. I didn't tell him this, but I was thinking in my head, like, nah, if I do start it, I'm going to go into episode 1. So that's what I did. And immediately, the character dynamics between each other, that was something that really captured me and got me immersed. Like, for example, Luffy and Zoro clashing over Nami. Zoro saying something to Nami and Sanji defending her, and them just bumping heads from there on out, and something that just carried on throughout the story. Luffy as a protagonist, he doesn't think about his actions, he just acts on impulse, and I can relate to that a lot. And the fact that he's similar to Naruto but completely different in a way, because Naruto, you know, spoilers, you could say Luffy had it all from the beginning, but Naruto had it all from the beginning. He just didn't know it, and the village treated him like crap. He had the Nine Tails and he was in Jinchuriki. Luffy, for example, he just had the gum fruit. You know, there's a little foreshadowing where I'm at, but at the time, this guy was just made of rubber. But I think the best part was how he bounced back. He wasn't somebody that gave up easily, and he was naive. And something I was just listening to in the Reverie that I was watching was that Luffy has naive optimism. And I feel like I do that a lot. Like as far as in YouTube, I tell myself and I tell people that, yeah, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to be on YouTube. And knowing I'm speaking from a naive place, I still believe it though. It's not like I'm saying it and I don't believe it. I can feel it. I can see it. Just like I know Luffy can see him being the Pirate King. And something that everybody talks about is world building. It's a huge world. So many characters, so many places to go, so many arcs. And that is something that catches your attention because now you can find a connection from like somebody like Arlong, somebody that grew up being looked down upon by celestials, pirates, and just regular humans for being a fisherman, and you know his people's getting effed over in the back end, and him wanting to revenge them, but just going down the wrong path. And somebody like, you could say, let me just say Kami, the mermaid. Nah, let me not do that because that's same as a fisherman. Let me try something else. I loved Doflamingo's backstory. Bro had it all, and his dad took a different approach to it as a celestial and was like, man, let's go interact with the humans. He was supposed to be a god, but he wanted to, you know, live different. And that takes a lot as a person to be on a high horse and be like, let me come down to this level and try to live. Like, I don't think people in real life have tried that. No, some people have, but not a lot of people are not going to do that. If they are born with status, they're not going to become a commoner and work hard. No, they already got it up here, so they're going to do what people do up here. What else? One of my favorite villains is Kaido. I love how he's just unstoppable force. I do think Kaido was stronger than Luffy, but at the end of the day, Luffy bounced back, and that was something that Kaido couldn't stop, and that's something that Kaido didn't have. Yeah, he was a zone and he could get back up, but Kaido didn't have that Luffy mindset, which really puts Luffy over a lot of people in the series, and why Ivankov said, like, oh my god, like, he's just like Dragon. He has his mind made up. He's not indecisive, and he can rally troops behind him just off of him being straightforward, just like Odin. Like, Odin was super straightforward and hard-boiled. Like, people couldn't help but get behind him. And I noticed that sometimes, and not trying to, you know, gloat myself, but I noticed that sometimes I have that effect too, where I'm just myself, and sometimes I just get followers, or I just have people around me that, just me being me, I attracted those people in my life. Anyways, I could go all day about this. I'm gonna cut this off right here. Naruto was my first love. Dragon Ball is my side piece, and One Piece is my wife. I'm gonna stick to that, and I gotta go. I'm gonna get ready for work. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what's your big three, because I didn't say Bleach. I know the real big three is Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, but my big three is Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and One Piece, because even though Dragon Ball Z is like the father of those three, I like Bleach. I'm just not a big fan. But anyways, tell me what you like down in the comment section. Bleach, My Hero, it could be anything. Just your big three and why it's your big three. And with that being said, I'm out.